do a part 2. Okay, aren't you lucky? The Three Stooges, man. I can't say enough. Maybe BTD. Maybe you were too young, because it comes to that point where if someone's just a year younger or 2 years younger, back then they'll miss something because we're young, right? Our perceptions to us is a long time. It's like half a year. Right? The Three Stooges, man. I couldn't get enough of the Three Stooges, man. And this is about, I guess, so many women. I remember this one. Obviously, this was the last. I remember this. This was the last episode that they filmed, and then they were fired after that. Okay, after all the stuff they did since the 30s into the 50s, right? And the evil Joe Besser. Joe. Everybody hates Joe Besser. Now, I kind of don't like him either. Right? Apparently, I didn't know this. He had a clause where he wasn't going to be hit. Can you believe this? Okay, Mo and Larry, they've been beating the hell out of Curly. Then he dies, and they're beating the hell out of Shemp. And then this effeminate punk comes along, and you can't lay a hand on him. What the hell, man? Anyway, and this is pretty much about this actress, a cute little woman here, right? And this one here, Vavaoom, right? I remember these aliens, kind of a goofy one, but this was the last one. And just going over, she was in other shorts of the Three Stooges. I don't care, man. The Three Stooges are still great. Even the episode where they're dressed up as Mussolini and the Mustache Man, making fun of them. It was still a lot of fun, man. The Three Stooges were great. I don't care. Yeah, Curly was. These dudes were great. I know it's like, are you gonna have no nuanced analysis of the Three Stooges? Well, I will say, okay, there's very much a gender divide with this. It's notorious for women not to like the Three Stooges. It is also notorious for scumbag hipster assholes, comedians, to not like the Three Stooges either. I think that's all you need to know about the Three Stooges, other than and they always showed them on Channel 11, and of course these shoes and other this movie, right? This was a Richard Matheson scripted movie, right? She was the nurse in that. That's a freaky movie, man. I remember as a kid, it was almost too much for me to comprehend, because it is very much an existential film, along with him fighting insects and stuff. Oh, and of course, girls in prison. Yes. Shocking true story of delinquent girls. Yeah. I tell you, listen, I'm not gonna mythologize. I'm the last guy to romanticize the past. I'm the last guy to do that. However, remember, in the past, you still have more of the essence, and you're still closer to the essence than now. And you look at these smiling women here. You look how they look, you see femininity, okay? Well, they are pain in the ass, undoubtedly, but you can just see it. Aesthetics mean something. Okay, Lovecraft said that, right? Lovecraft wouldn't be wrong, would he? Anyway, so just more stuff here. And retro future fashion. You get the campy women all dressed up, in these space outfits, Now, I wanted to do another part of this because I didn't want to let this go, okay? And I mentioned BTD, but maybe other DFC sons, guys who are probably a little younger than me, but maybe still remember this. Do you remember, and they mentioned it, the late 80s, okay? Syndicated television. Almost many of these shows were filmed in Canada, DFC sons, okay? Already, it was, whatever you want to say about Trudeau's dad, they were pretty clever in trying to invite businesses into Canada by offering, tax incentives for filming and other things. So this is one of those shows that was filmed in, I believe, Toronto. And that's the dude from the Indian. Remember the guy from Predator? War of the Worlds, man. And they mentioned also Nightmare on Elm Street. Friday the 13th is a series, right? That one too. Freddy's Nightmares was there too. Monsters, right? Obviously, Tales from the Dark Side was a little earlier, but these shows would come on. I remember they showed them in the afternoon at one point, but eventually they went to late night. And the reason they went to late night was because they were extremely violent shows. This show was a very violent. This show was gory. It was a gory show. Friday the 13th series had a lot of horrible, brutal deaths of as freaked out as anything you'd see on television. And they were on, and they ran for a while. Now this only ran for 2 seasons. Okay, it's a sequel to the movie War of the Worlds. But essentially, the aliens are revived by toxic waste, and they're able, which you didn't see in the first film, they're able to take over humans, right, and take their appearance, and then when they're done with them, their bodies melt, okay, and they die horribly. Yeah, War of the Worlds. I remember this. So, let's see. Right, the terrorist group, the People's Liberation Army, released the bodies of the aliens that were being kept there after they succumbed in the film. This is a sequel to the film. Right, like other sci-fi horror stories that ran in syndication, they pushed the limits of what was acceptable content with violence and gore comparable to R-rated horror. I remember one time they ripped the guy's arm off, they gouged the guy's arm out, they killed people left and right, men, women, even children were not safe. Right, and the host bodies, when they're done, they liquefy into grotesque puddles of gut sludge. Oh yeah, this is it was a great show. It was very dark. Even when these remember, they were kind of like a secret group, but they didn't have much backing, and they couldn't trust many people. So now the second season, I remember the second season came out. It was even worse because they actually it went from like a normal society to something probably more like the next 5 years or so, where there's season 2, right, where it's almost like a dystopian future, right, a desolate cyberpunk future, where America has become a third world country and the aliens now have evolved. The original ones, the ones you see like this, right, they have been usurped and replaced by superior Martians of the same species who are basically humanoid. Okay, they still have abilities and whatnot, but it's kind of like Mosquito, where the aliens evolved. Well, these aliens are nastier, and they're more clever, and there's some really horrible scenes. There's things they do to people in the first season, nothing compared to what these sons of bitches did in the second season. And this group here now has no backing at all. They're almost like living on the street, hiding out, being hunted as much as they hunt the aliens. Very bleak. I remember they had one with a band playing this really primitive music, which I thought, wow, that sounds crazy. Meanwhile, it sounded like rougher, like made up Nitzer Ebb or something. But I remember that. Right. And the character, actually one of the characters dies, right, and everybody gets more sullen, right, more. They never made a third season, but man, this was a great show. I gotta shout it out. That Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, the series, Monsters, another great show, right? Romero has something to do with that. The great late 80s show in syndication of horror, probably the best era there was for this TV stuff, before the X-Files and all this stuff here. Anything else here? Nah, that's it. All these cool posters, all these cool things. There was a charm to this stuff. The monster kids, the boomers, are now going away, and the future is going to be one of horror. That's one of my themes. Maybe you should forget about all this stuff. I'm not. I still like looking at this. Maybe I could even show this to somebody in the future to see what once was, even if it was just an illusion, a reflection of a shadow, of a mirage. But somewhere through, beyond the veil, there was something, and that thing is still there. It's not gone. No one can get rid of that. All right. Damn, so damn serious, huh? Later.